It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show. Hit you with the no delay in my progress. All the time struggling, only further my conquest. Looking to the future, I wrote and printed the concept. Posted to the net, but that's just a piece of the mindset. Brand snowballing, I'm snowballing, get back to work. Got your favorite companies watching me, but they never chirp. Big names, all of my stories, I see them studying. I probably could have helped them. I guess they stuck in they stubbornness. This shit is jokes. Independent living, did it with the quotes. Been a hidden hand, sending lyrics, and it's been remote. From the home set up, these jokers, it's known beggars. You nothing without a squad. I'm fixing my phone settings. The lyricist, supremacists, the penmanship is limitless. I'm building businesses, aiming again since I've been in this. I'm 007, been cold since '07. How I do it? I was home alone, Kevin, goal setter, but now my goal setting, commentating, they fixating. Light from the hand, the pins rate and forget waiting. I hit record, then I hit record. If a nigga play me on the mic, then I choke him with the cord, yeah. I'm sacrificing money here with every verse, giving punchlines to these rappers when I said it first. Preaching to the choir, giving facts like we in the church. I'm just praying for the day it start to reimburse. True prerogative, they blew the entire budget, they do it. Micah discussions, I'm zooming in higher up. It's like, Mr. Nolan, we should get this rolling. Tell me what you need, a check, pause, semicolon. I'm tired of the games, fanning the flames, I'm making a change. You don't value what I'm bringing, then it's not an exchange. Only resolution I'm worried about is 4K. If you really want to party with me, then set up the play, bitch. What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there this evening. In this particular video, we're going to get into a couple pieces of the new Drake Bobby Alto interview that have been circulating online. All right. Now, in the video, there's a couple things that get addressed. All right. On one hand, Drake kind of speaks on the culture vulture conversation that happens around his name, which interestingly enough, they weren't even talking about him when it came up. A lot of the conversation in this interview is centered around the fact of Drake doing the original interview with Bobby Alto, and they ended up falling out, and basically that interview and things surrounding the interview are the reason why Bobby got divorced, or it was like the beginning stages of her divorce. So her and Drake ended up falling out because she blamed him for a lot of the things that were happening in her life, because up until Drake entered her life, her marriage was seemingly in a good space. Her life was seemingly in a good space with her kids and whatever life she had prior to that interview. So they ended up exchanging words. She said some things to Drake that he didn't like. He ends up cutting her off, unfollows her on social media, blocks her, and demands that she take the interview down. Right? So as she's kind of letting him know, like, or I won't even say letting them know, but as they're talking about that, he basically says that he shut her down because he is sensitive to people criticizing him or taking something that he may have had good intentions on and it being like it having a negative impact. So then he correlated the situation with her to, the same way that people say I'm a culture vulture for collaborating with a lot of different people, basically saying that his intentions are not to colonize, but more so he feels like it's coming from a pure place, but it gets misconstrued, right? And so that's what made him shut down on her, and also shut down on this whole Iceman thing where he's supposedly cutting people off, icing people out. So that's one thing that they talk about. He speaks on Elliott Wilson's criticism of him, although he doesn't say Elliott by name. He talks about how the first interview that he did with Bobby was received by the public and by storied journalists that were offended. And we all know the storied journalist that was offended, Elliott Wilson, and how he feels that interview impacted the content game, the streaming game, etc., and basically opened the door for people to have these types of unconventional conversations. Big acts sitting down with, relatively unknown people in media that don't really do your traditional music entertainment media, right? So he speaks on that as well. And he also at some point starts talking about or alluding to botting or UMG taking down songs and doing interesting things with the music. And he doesn't say it specifically, but he talks around it in a roundabout way, like in a joking manner of, you never know what's going on with what everybody's doing with the songs nowadays, because this one is doing this one is doing that. So we're gonna play those three moments from the interview. It's the shit long as fuck. I didn't sit through it, but I'm gonna talk about the main pieces that are kind of striking conversation. So to start it out, here is where Bobby and Drake get into the fallout, the things going awry in her life, and how she responded and how Drake responded, which he then correlates it to people calling him a culture vulture and him just having a certain level of sensitivity to these types of moments. Okay.
Emotions, and obviously my life changed so much after that. I got mad at you one time and blamed you a little bit.
I know, but I think like I have I have a hair trigger for that that in my life where I kind of I don't necessarily take well to like me sharing like positive experiences with people, and then when things like are heavy for them, like almost like having to sort of take I guess that's a little too specific. What I'm really trying to say is like I feel I feel like I'm not necessarily a part of the problem, and I experience a lot of guilt tripping in my life where people are like, no, like this is like this would like this is like your fault essentially, or like and my intentions are pure, like it's the same way even in music people will be like, oh, like, oh, you're a culture vulture, or like like people will describe the collaborative efforts that I've put forth and the artists that I've picked up and lifted up, or shine a light on as me taking, they'll put a negative spin on it and try and tell me, that it's a self-serving thing or whatever. And I think I get really sensitive about that. And I think at that moment I was just like, well, you know what? Then
Yeah.
don't even worry about it. And so I was extremely short. And then afterwards, I was just really, really snappy. People asked like, oh, why are you here doing this again?
Now, before we move forward, um, he says that he was really snappy, and they get into like their text interaction because she kind of snapped on him, he kind of snapped on her, and he got short with her, and he got, what I mean. If anybody knows how Drake kind of talks to people via text or uh DMs when he's feeling some type of way, he gets y'all like to say he gets sassy. I don't use that word. It doesn't roll off the tongue that well for me, but he tries to like intimidate people in the most like non-threatening way possible. It sounds like uh elementary school kid text. You know what I mean? When they feel a way about you. So apparently, when she tried to express her hardship, he wasn't open, he wasn't responsive to it. Although she felt he was the source of everything, which I think was also immature on her part as well. But at the same time, she felt like, hey, before this whole Drake thing became a thing, my life was pretty much peaceful. After doing the interview, people came up with different narratives. Some people felt like they were sleeping together, or this was his like new chick, or Some people tried to imply that she was underage and he was on a bed with her, which was also false. So there was a lot of talk around that interview, and it wasn't always positive. Elliott Wilson shitted on it, and it wasn't a good interview. It was trash. Nobody really remembers anything from it. But she came out and let him know, like, hey man, all this stuff is going on. My life is in shambles. My husband is asking me questions. He got a motherfucking tracker on me, all this type of shit ever since we linked up. He ain't trusting how I'm moving. And I feel like all of this is your fault. And I think there was something involving Tiger, which they kind of allude to in the conversation as well. So he said, you know what? Before I deal with this shit, I'll just cut you off completely. Okay? And again, he pointed out the whole culture vulture thing of him being called a culture vulture for collaborating with a lot of artists in the industry. So he says, you know what? I'm going to cut everybody off too. I'm not going to be as accessible. I'm going to just do, well, I'm going to go to the UK. I'm going to say the UK rappers are the best in the world, even though I've been running after American rappers my entire life. We'll continue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the point? Like, even on the way up here, like, my boy was like, why are you doing this again? And I was like, well, what we did, like, it changed a lot of things for a lot of people. It was me essentially, like, just recognizing somebody that I never met in my life, that I fully believed in, that I thought was really interesting and I wanted to have an interesting conversation with. It pissed off like so many, like, all these fucking losers, these, like, you know, like, story journalists, and like this guy and that guy who like feels so entitled to this interview about, and Drake never does anything for like this type of media. And it just like made people so angry that two people who actually like have just like maybe nothing to talk about, or everything to talk about, but just based on like random energy could come together. I think it changed a lot of things.
All right, we're going to pause there. So as y'all seen, he recently shitted on Rob Markman, right? Who's a story journalist, an esteemed journalist, been in the industry, I believe, he says about 2 decades. We saw that. We saw how that thing panned out with Elliott Wilson when he critiqued the interview. He did the same thing for the Kai Cenat Nicki Minaj interview. He said this is hip hop journalism, you know. We just saw Elliott Wilson a couple days ago go crazy all over again when we caught wind of this part 2 situation between Drake and Bobby Alto. And he calls these niggas losers. He says these fucking losers and these esteemed journalists and these people that just feel entitled to having a conversation with me or a one-on-one and having these, these organized conversations in the confines of the music industry, rather than him going and speaking to somebody like a Bobby, who we didn't know her background. She was doing these dry ass interviews and she amassed a following off of it. Still don't understand what that was about, but you know, more power to her. So he then shoots in that direction quickly and then pivots.
It changed a lot of things, like on TikTok. It changed a lot of things like in the streaming world. Like it made people more comfortable to go sit down with somebody that they've never sat down with before, you know, like not to take like overly take credit, but when I do see like somebody, you know, who keeps to themselves, like a Nicki Minaj, like go to like Kai Cenat's house, or like I see, you know, these musicians go to like a guy like Blackboy Max's studio and start making songs with him. Like I feel like we did usher in the idea of just like you can be from 2 completely different walks of life. Celebrities are not here, that we're like, the goal is not to be like some unattainable dickhead for your whole life, you know, and only to like sit with Zane Lowe while he like asks you like the most like curated and formal questions. No disrespect to him, you know, like,
Yeah.
but it's just like, I think we did something that was special.
Yeah.
And I was proud of what we did. And then when you didn't like, when I felt like it caused any like bump in the road in your life, it just hurt me, because I was like, fuck, I just can't get it right, you know?
Yeah.
Plus you were with Tiger that night.
Now, interestingly enough, it's strange that when somebody comes to you and lets you know like their life is falling apart, they're going through a really rough patch, she's coming to you trying to express, you know, hey man, is there a way that you can help make this right, or just offer some sort of consolation, that his instinct was, fuck you, get out of here, I'm gonna cut this motherfucker off. I think that's a very interesting thing to do at that kind of time, especially when you put the spotlight on this person who was, I didn't know who the fuck she was. She was a relative nobody. And then boom, she gets thrust into this celebrity, you know, conversation. She gets thrusted into the podcast world. She gets thrusted into being a part of the daily cycle, the news cycle, etc. Everybody's speculating who she is, where she came from, her background, etc., etc. So yeah, you are partially responsible for whatever comes with that. And he said, you know what? If you don't appreciate it, I'm cutting your ass off.
That was really the big reason.
Can I get another rosé?
A less dippy one. I do feel like,
I mean,
the biggest bump in my road was after that, though.
I am the biggest bump in your road, huh?
I don't know what you're trying to imply with that, but yes, that was.
That sounded crazy.
I'm just saying, it was like after that, it was like pretty hard. I was like, people were like, oh,
yeah, how
could he like put her on and then take her off right after?
Well, I didn't take you off.
But that's kind of how people saw it.
Off.
That's how people saw it. Was that I had so many interviews lined up where afterwards, once you unfollowed me, blocked me, everything, it was just pulled. And I was like, oh God, it was like such a...
It was just like, what, Ben Affleck or somebody? Who? No, who? No. I don't know. It was like...
No, there was ones that I had that I wouldn't name that were scheduled back in the day. And they pulled right after.
I was calling everybody going,
I'm sure you...
So after Drake cut her off, unfollowed her, got the interview taken down, other people in the industry that wanted to follow suit and come be a part of her platform, come interview with her, she said a lot of motherfuckers disappeared and was like, damn, well, if Drake's not fucking with her, I'm not going on there either. Right? So then she was left to figure out what was going to be what. Now, just last year, we saw her hanging out in Compton and shit around the time Not Like Us video was being shot shortly after the pop out, hanging with YG and shit during the motherfucking the peace treaty between the gangs and everything. So it's very interesting that he would be sitting down with her after that. But you know, maybe he don't come from the Young Thug school of thought, because Young Thug expects women to to uphold those values too. But just some things to think about.
I'm sure you were.
Don't you fucking
Well, you did not. Don't even say that and make people think you did that. You wouldn't do that. That's evil. But you did. You doing that was like you removing your like
cosign.
Yeah, of me, I guess. And people were like, why would I? If he doesn't even fuck with her, I'm not going to. And it was like pretty hard after that to like try to figure out how to make my way in the world without like with like people not knowing, because people thought it was bigger too than it was.
Yeah.
People thought what happened between us was something like I don't know. We had something bigger. So many things.
Like what? What's the top 3 conspiracies?
Well, the top conspiracy for why it got removed from YouTube is that you played Tyga's song and then they removed it. That didn't happen.
That's Sly Fox.
We
don't know, right? We don't know. With the shit that these guys have going on right now?
Who?
Fuck
What
yeah,
guys?
I don't know. They're doing this to this song. They're doing that to that song. They're taking
is?
songs. They're doing. I don't know.
I don't know anything about
any names. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Fuck, there's a lot going on in the music industry. God only knows. Tyga might have pulled that plug. You know what I mean?
Oh, it just happened to line up with the day that
Tyga did a show.
All right, so there's Drake alluding to some fishy things going on in the industry. And of course, if you refer to his lawsuit, his legal complaint, you know, he talks about botting. He talks about UMG, you know, lifting copyright claims for the benefit of Not Like Us. And he then says, you know, maybe Tiger pulled that plug. You know, you just never know. Some people doing stuff for one song and not for this song, or doing stuff for this song. So he's taking jabs at UMG on the Lowski at the same time. So although there is a lot of nothing to sit through in their conversation, there were a couple moments in here where he kind of gives you a little bit of a glimpse into, I guess, how he sees things, how he sees the industry from his perspective, not so much of, you know, everyone else's. He literally admitted that sometimes he doesn't look at things from other people's perspective because he doesn't believe that he's part of the problem. Shows a bit of a lack of accountability, if I'm to be all the way completely honest, but I don't think that's anything new. I don't think that's anything that anybody didn't expect. I think that was already pretty much established. But to hear it come out of his mouth in the way that it did, it's kind of confirmation. All right. Now, there's also a moment in there that's going viral about him talking about Rick Ross wearing fake jewelry because, of course, he's sipping on rosé. And she says she's never seen anybody ice rosé before. And he says, you never seen nobody ice rosé? Well, you could just ask any jeweler in Miami that got fake diamonds. He does a douche and they move on, but it's just a quick shot at Rick Ross, who, of course, we know Rick Ross was on his head top all last year. I wouldn't be surprised if that clip makes it to Rick Ross's radar once again, and Rick Ross gets on that motherfucking Instagram live and fires some more shots in his direction just because he ain't got nothing better to do. That's what Rick Ross does. So it's gonna be interesting to see where things go from here. But that's pretty much the size of what I'm willing to talk about from this Drake Bobby Alto interview. Again, it's over. The shit damn near 2 hours. Ain't no fucking way I'm sitting through that shit. We only having high level conversations over here. Y'all could check that shit out on your own time if you choose. And if not, more power to you. All right. Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Become an insider. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one, man. Peace. King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rags. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef for computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. With drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I've been dropping these haters like calories. First I'm out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.